think a lot of folks have been waiting for commitment after a busy official visit weekend. I don't got just one for you today. I got two.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the publisher of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. We got big news today. 2 commitments for Bill O'Brien and his staff. I'm going to recap who they are, their story, and why they're a big deal for Boston College, each one of them. And then finally, hockey lands another blue chip recruit. I'll explain who that is and when you should expect him at Kelly Rink. All right, let's kick this off. I broke the news on Monday. The BC landed 2 commitments, both of them teammates, both of them from the state of Georgia. Both of them from the same high school, Blessed Catholic Trinity, and that is tight end Bryce Lewis and defensive back Marcelous Townsend. So let's kick it off by talking about Bryce Lewis, because this is a good one. This is an interesting one to talk about here. Bryce Lewis is a 3-star recruit who was originally committed to Arizona. He had offers from Tennessee and Vanderbilt, Kansas State. There was a bunch of different schools looking at him, Duke. And he ended up picking Boston College. Now, you hear the name Lewis, and if you've listened to a previous episode, I think I've talked about this a little bit. And you're like, oh, that name sounds familiar. It's a pretty common last name. Maybe it's somebody, it could be anybody, right? Well, there is a connection here, and there's a big connection because Bryce Lewis is the son of defensive coordinator Tim Lewis. Tim Lewis was hired in the offseason when Bill O'Brien took over this head coaching job. Bryce Lewis was committed to Arizona probably for about a month and a half while Lewis was the DC at BC. And then he decommitted pretty quickly after Boston College offered. Now, he's a two-way player. Most kids in high school are, you get talent in high school. You play them as much as you can get them on the field, right? Lewis certainly is that. He's 6'6", which is great size for what I'm going to tell you he's going to play. 6'6", 200 pounds. He plays edge and wide receiver in high school, but he's going to play tight end in college. He's a tight end. Like watching his film, you see really good size. Like not like the fastest guy for a tight end. Like he's not going to be, your next Travis Kelce out there, but he's got the frame to be a very good college tight end in hands too, because he's a wide receiver. You watch the film and you see a guy with soft hands. That's great because he's also going against defensive backs, which he watching it, he's got like 4 or 5 inches on like everybody. But he's got good size. I think that's going to translate well at the collegiate level. Now, the piece that you don't know about is because he played edge and wide receiver, and I didn't see it in his huddle film much or any tight end, is how he's going to translate to the blocking scheme. Now, I know folks fall in love with tight ends because of their pass catching ability. You want the next George Kittle, you want the next Gronk and Kelce. That's important. Yes, you want a guy that can pass catch, and believe me, Bill O'Brien's going to want that in his offense. And I think Bryce Lewis is going to be a home run there. I think this guy is going to be a very good weapon in the offense. The biggest question is the other part, which he's going to have to learn how to do, which is the blocking part. In a pro scheme offense like O'Brien has, you need a tight end that can block. Like everyone talks about Rob Gronkowski's ability to catch the ball, and he was one of a million in that realm. Believe me, yes, he's great at that. But when you hear Bill Belichick, and you probably even have asked Bill O'Brien about this, Gronk was a very underrated blocker. He had to. In those schemes, Gronk blocked. So Bryce Lewis is going to have to block too. And maybe he's already worked on it. I don't know because I haven't asked him all the more follow-up questions on that piece, but that's going to be a major piece of his job, and it's going to be something that he's going to have to grow and learn how to do. Now, for next year, Boston College has one tight end leaving, and then they have Jeremiah Franklin still here. So Kamari Morales is going to be gone. You're going to have Jeremiah Franklin. Matt Reagan, by all accounts, should be ready to be either tight end 1 or tight end 2. You have Holden Simmons. He'll be on his 3rd year. And then you have Ryan Boltwood, who's a JUCO, all there. So to me, that strikes me as one thing, that he could earn his way. Bryce Lewis could earn his way as a starter right off the bat. But more likely, he's a guy that could develop, and that's what Boston College should be about. One thing that Jeff Halfley did for a while that I didn't like was, and he even talked about it, like he didn't want to, but he kind of had to, was throw freshmen out there constantly. You saw Jeremiah Franklin do it, and he struggled, right, at tight end. Bryce Lewis hopefully will have the luxury of redshirting a year, at least. Let Reagan take the starts. Let Simmons work up. But let some of these younger guys that have been there for a couple of years, though, get those starter reps and then bring in a guy like Bryce Lewis. So he doesn't have to, you could slowly integrate him in. Like, I don't know if he's going to early enroll. I haven't talked to him about that yet. But, like, give him a couple summers, a couple springs to get going. That's going to make him more successful. That's not going to put him in a situation where he's rushed out there, because I don't think that's a good thing for Bryce Lewis. For most recruits, it's not a good thing in general. Like, you could get a position here or there, maybe a defensive back or something that you could throw in for a few plays, and maybe you have to because it's something you talked about when you recruited him. But hopefully for this situation, you don't. But this was something that has been in the works for a while. If you ever follow Spencer Dickow, the general manager, Bryce Lewis did not commit this weekend. He announced his commitment. He wanted to wait until he made his visit, but he's been locked into BC for a while. So this is a good one. I was excited. This is one of those recruits that I was excited when they landed him, because I think there's a lot of talent here. I think I'm excited to see how he translates to that tight end position. And in addition, this is not the only tight end they're going to be going for. There's at least three, maybe 4 other official visitors. They're not canceling them because they're going to be looking for 2 tight ends in this class. So there's some exciting names. Stevie Amar is the one that I really think I'm really high on. He has a big offer list, but they're going to be going for 2. And I think because it's tight end such an important part of Bill O'Brien's offense, that we'll wait and see who that's going to be. Now, in our second segment, I want to get into the second part of the fireworks. Marcelous Townsend. Who is this kid, and why is he a good fit for Boston College? I'll tell you all about it. You know that in just a moment. When you're hiring for your small business, you want quality professionals that are right for the job. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. And even those who are actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't use other job sites. So don't be posted to other job sites. Just use LinkedIn. You're going to get the best candidates, the most qualified, the ones that have the traits that you need. They're going to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to do their hirings correctly, so they help you out the best they can. That's why 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black here. And we are discussing the 2 commitments for BC. Now, I want to tell you, over at Eagle Insider, I'm the publisher there. I had 5 articles up yesterday with inside information, breaking news. I talked to both of the recruits. All of this in one spot. If you want the most comprehensive inside information, some of it free, some of it pay, come over to Eagle Insider. Our VIP right now is 60% off, so you're not going to miss. If you sign up right now, you can get in for a cup of coffee a month. Best BC stuff, and I see other sites starting to pop up. Looking, I want you. They can do their own thing. I'm going to tell you what I do. What I do is get you the best information, the scoops. I talk to the staff, I talk to the recruits, I talk to their coaches, I talk to everybody. So come on over to Eagle Insider. You're going to get your money's worth, I promise you. So check it out, 60% off right now. Now, Marcelous Townsend. This is the next kid I want to tell you about. He committed 20 minutes after Bryce Lewis did. I had a whole queue of like articles I had prepped for the weekend, and he was on there. And I was like, "Oh, when's he gonna? Oh, there he goes." So he committed like right after his teammate. He's teammates with Bryce Lewis, so that tells me one thing, right? You're gonna look at his offer list, and you don't see a ton of offers. He's got offers from like Western Kentucky and Army and Memphis, and he's got some, you know, group of 5 schools that have been looking at him, and nothing wrong with that. But the piece with Townsend that I think everyone needs to understand is he's a defensive player. He's a defensive back, most likely going to be a safety, but he could also be cornerback too. I watched this film. He looks more like a safety watching him play to me. His film has him playing all over the place. Again, high school, they do everything, right? But it'll be interesting to see how the staff views him because they're going for a bigger defensive back group here. You look at his offer list, you go, oh, why, whatever. But there's a big factor here. As I said, he's Bryce Lewis's teammate. And who's Bryce Lewis's dad? Tim Lewis. So even if this kid is under recruited, even if this kid is a diamond in the rough, he has been watched probably for multiple years by the Boston College defensive coordinator. Tim Lewis, I am sure, has seen him live a lot. So he knows what he's getting here. He's watched Marcelous play. He's watched what he can do. So that's way more valuable than a huddle film. Getting to see a kid in live action, seeing the good and the bad, you're knowing what you're going to get. Because when you watch a huddle film, you can, as an analyst, I can sit there and watch it. It's all their best plays. You're cutting out the times where, a player may miss an assignment or whiff on a tackle or, have, misdiagnose a play, whatever it is, right? Those are not included in those films because the kids would never put that out there. Why would they want coaches to see that? But Tim Lewis probably has seen that. He's seen the good and the bad, so he knows the full package of what he's getting with this 6-foot cornerback or safety, whatever they're going to use him for. And that is valuable. Coaches are always dying to see the kids play. And Tim Lewis has seen Townsend. Townsend was offered by Boston College late. He was offered in April, right after the spring game. He committed pretty quickly after. This is not a weekend commitment. He announced it after his visit. He wanted to get his pictures and all that stuff. Remember, at official visits, it's partially to meet the staff. You got to admit too, they do the pictures. Like I had that picture up of Bryce Lewis. Marcelous has one too. I didn't get enough time to grab it. They're cool pictures. I love what Boston College has done for their photo shoots. It's like very stylized and it's very unique. You see a lot of the schools that have like their photoshops. It's always those like glowing lights and they're holding lightsabers or whatever. Louisville has them sitting on like Corvettes and stuff. Whatever. This one is it's perfect. Anthony Garro, credit to him. Made like a really cool, like stylized, like about the history of BC and how they fit in. It looks really, really neat. Well, I think the players. I have this picture up of Marcelous in his high school. I had this made before his visit, but the kids want their official visit shots so they can make their announcement. So I think they were both waiting for that. Plus, like I think the staff wants to meet him and they want to meet the staff before they officially announce it. So that is now a pair of commitments. And Townsend. Just like I said with Lewis, I don't expect him to be a guy that they have to force out there. He could, depending on when he enrolls, if he's a younger, a gray shirt that comes in the spring, he could. But I'm guessing we're going to see more and more as we get away from the craziness of the transfer portal with this new NIL deal, which I talked about last week. I think that's going to happen more. Kids are going to lock in more from multiple years. So you're going to see less of the transfer portal, which thank God. It's going to be easier for staff to kind of manage things. But I look at this and I say he's going to be a guy that's going to take a couple of years. So That's where things are at. Now, where are things going? 2 commitments from this class, not bad. There's still 2 more out there. All right, there's 2 more commitments that have not announced yet, so you have to wait on those. I can't. I always say this on the show. I may know who they are, and I do. I will never. I don't want to blow a kid's spot. This is a big moment for them, but I want you to know that the good news is still coming, and I will break it on Eagle Insider when it happens, and I will be here on Locked On BC to talk about it with you guys because it's important stuff to talk about. Now, where's the class at right now? It's about in the mid 40s. I think there's going to be some bigger names that'll be coming soon that'll help bump it up. But good. This kind of takes the sting out of the stuff I was talking about yesterday, right? You got a couple commitments, you get your momentum going again, and BC is now up to 8 commitments for this class. So I expect a big class. This is a good start for it. Now, in our final segment, let's switch it up over to hockey because hockey also landed a commitment, and this was a big one. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit, the Celtics, they're kicking it off tomorrow against the Mavs. I'm looking at those point totals, and I'm looking for a big game from Big Al. Big Al Horford, I expect him to have another, he's going to get his title. He has to, right? Well, if you're a Dallas fan, you're saying no, but he's going to have one big game. And maybe you get over to FanDuel and find that point total and go over it. Because I'm sure his is pretty reasonable. I haven't seen it yet for today, but I'm sure it's going to be reasonable. So all you have to do is visit fanduel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. We're wrapping things up here, talking about hockey commitments. Now, BC Hockey Blogger, he's got the whole deal up on Eagle Insider about this kid that I'm going to talk to you about. But I want to give you a rough estimate, a rough discussion about a big time commitment for BC. As BC Hockey on Monday landed a commitment from William Moore. William Moore is on the national under 17 team. He's a 2025 kid. He's born in 2017, so he's only 17 years old right now. He's not going to be your replacement for Will Smith. I'm going to say that right now. He's going to come up next year. He's too young to come up now. But he is top 10 in his class. He's a center out of Ontario. And the big buzz around him is he's another first round draft pick. He hasn't been drafted yet, but all the projections for next year is that this kid's going to be another first round draft pick. So you have this year, you have Higgins and Stiga coming in, who are your top 2 recruits. Again, BC doesn't rebuild, they reload. Next year, the year after, you bring in William Moore, and there's other players that are coming in. You're building blue chip depth here. Now, you're going to have to, most likely with a lot of these kids, just like you did with Will Smith, you're going to start to see more one-offs. Is BC becoming like the Kentucky of college hockey? A little bit, but that's the price you pay. You're bringing in elite talent that's going to have you competing at the high level every single year. You're going to lose some of these guys to the NHL. It's just the part of the game. Like you can you could try to build yourself like Denver and get those old dudes that are just grinders, and that obviously works. But I think the way BC's building it right now is right too. It's going to happen at some point where they're going to be able to break through. But it's exciting. This is what, you're bringing in a top 10 recruit again. This was the top recruit that was available for that class. Born in 2007, which makes me feel absolutely ancient. But this is great news. Again, Greg Brown is building a monster in Chestnut Hill. And every class that he's building is making sure that this is not just a one-off thing. that even though you lose Cutter Gauthier, even though you lose Will Smith, and good luck, great. It's great for them that they get to the NHL. Your team's going to be set. And I wanted to respond to a comment that was like telling me that I wasn't being appreciative enough for the players for leaving. Look, this isn't locked on Cutter Gauthier, and this isn't locked on Will Smith. I'm very happy that they get to go to the NHL. They're going to make a lot of money. They're going to both be very successful. This is Locked On BC, and I was talking about, and they were like bashing me for this. I, I'm here to talk about Boston College, not, and they're gone. So I wanted to talk about the health of the program. So this is a perfect example. They're going to be fine. BC is going to be fine. You have Jacob Fowler again coming back. He is going to be, a Mark Richter goalie of the year candidate right off day one. I would imagine if they do a preseason watch, he'd be like the favorite. So great news for BC hockey. No other real news today to talk about. So, as I said on a previous episode, we're doing this 3 days a week during the month of June. However, I promise you, if there's news breaking, I'm going to go more than 3 days because I don't care if it's supposed to be my vacation weeks. This is supposed to be a big month for BC football. I'm going to have an episode this week about who's visiting. You'll hear my discussion on that. And any other commitments, I will be here live. I promise you, I will be here at Locked On BC because I am AJ Black and I've done this for years. And I want you guys to get the best information from someone who cares about the program, who's been covering them for years. And you bring it here every day for Locked On BC. Your team every day.